Trust that all is well with each of you. I'm Colin. Have the pleasure of serving as one of the elders, and this is part 2 of our Black History Month series. As mentioned in video 1, we at Christ our King, we're committed to the celebration of and the recognition of the brilliance and the accomplishments of Black people. Right? Though February is the identified month for national attention, we at Christ our King are committed to a lifestyle of celebration, as our lives are continuously shaped by the sacrifices and the work of our ancestors before us. And so last week we learned about Drs. Kenneth and Mamie Clark, psychologists who studied the psychological effects of racism and segregation on Black children. And this week, we're diving into a story that I think is going to blow your mind. Now, I think it's no secret that my wife and I are Hampton grads, right? We love our alma mater. We love our HIU, right? We talk about it often. But on a much larger scale, we're huge supporters of HBCUs and HBCU culture. And so I'm not only an HBCU grad, but I'm also an educator at an HBCU, and that's St. Aug, St. Augustine's University. I have the privilege today of introducing to you one of St. Aug's most celebrated graduates, and her name is Selma Burke. Selma Burke was born on New Year's Eve, December 31st, in the year 1900 in Morrisville, North Carolina. She was the 7th of 10 children born to the Reverend Neil Burke and Mrs. Elizabeth Coldfield Burke. Her father was bivocational. He would work on railroads and serve as a minister in the AME church. Throughout her childhood, Selma was attracted to the clay and the mud that she would often find in the riverbed that was close to her home. And she would pick up the clumps of clay and the clumps of mud, and she would squeeze them in her hands, becoming familiar with this texture. Her grandmother was a painter, and so through this newfound interest in clay and mud, Selma was naturally being drawn to the arts. However, her mother discouraged this interest in favor of pursuing careers that would pay her more money. And so Selma, she would go on to attend and graduate from St. Agnes, which was St. Aug's nursing school and hospital, right? The largest hospital, you all, for Black people between Washington, D.C. and Atlanta. Interesting fact about St. Aug and St. Agnes, the hospital on St. Aug's campus, Jack Johnson, the famous heavyweight boxer, suffered fatal injuries in a car accident in Franklinton, North Carolina, and ended up passing away in St. Agnes Hospital. So this is a hospital, you all, that was well known at that time. After graduating from St. Agnes, from St. Aug, Selma would go on to move to Harlem, New York, as many did during this time in the early to mid 20th century. She would work as a nurse, as a private nurse, working to serve the family of a very wealthy heiress. And eventually, Selma then transitioned back to her first love, was art, making clay sculptures, and she would eventually teach art classes at a local college. Selma said this about her love for working with clay. She said, I love that language, y'all. I shaped my early destiny with the clay of North Carolina rivers. And she said it was there in 1907, just at the age of 7 years old. It was there in 1907 that I discovered me. That's powerful, you all. Selma would go on to create famous busts of well-known African Americans. Booker T. Washington, a Hampton grad, I might add. Mary McLeod Bethune, and also the great Duke Ellington. She twice traveled to Europe in the 1930s to study sculpture. She founded her own School of Sculpture in 1940, and then graduated with a Master's of Fine Arts degree from Columbia University in 1941. She opened an art center in Pittsburgh in 1946, and then continued teaching at several universities throughout her career, most notably Harvard University. Now, aside from these amazing accomplishments, you all, there is one that is mind-blowing. In 1944, someone completed a sculpture of President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who agreed to sit as a live model for her while she worked on this sculpture. Now, FDR passed away before the sculpture was finished, but then after completing her work, the sculpture was unveiled eventually by then President Harry S. Truman. The sculpture, which is a plaque, is still hanging in Washington, D.C. to this day. Now, as good as that is, we're not even finished with the story yet. Everybody who's able, I need everybody who's listening to this video right now. Everybody who's able, I need you to reach into your pockets, right? Go into your pockets, go deep in your pockets, go to the junk drawer in your kitchen. Everybody got a junk drawer in your kitchen, you know that, right? If it's not utensils, it goes in this drawer, right? We're talking tape, scissors, anything, right? Screws, anything, right? Go to that junk drawer in the kitchen. You know you got one. Go to the cup holders in your car. Go wherever you need to go. Go into your purse, go wherever you need to go. And I need for you to find a dime. 10 cents, I need you to find a dime. Now, if you take that dime, and if you look at the face of that dime, you're going to notice something familiar. And it's an image of President Franklin D. Roosevelt. An image that is based on, guess what, y'all? The sculpture completed by none other than North Carolina's own, St. Aug's own, Selma Burke. Think about this, you all. All of the years that you have been walking around with dimes in your pocket, in your purses, in your car, in your house, all of the years that you have had a dime in your possession, you were literally walking around with a piece of Black history. I told you this would blow your mind. Christ our King, please join me in celebrating the life and the accomplishments of the brilliant, the creative Selma Burke. This is episode 2. We got 2 more to go this month, y'all. I'll see you next week. Grace and peace.